Hello students, we are working on the nightstand again. Our last video was getting the parts cut for the face frame. So if you remember, we got our board, we laid out our parts, rough size, and I showed you the process of cutting them to finish size. Okay. We've got 3 rails and 2 stiles. Now we're ready to assemble them today. Let me go show you that process. All right, so we've got them over here, made as a set, right? We did our planing and our surface sanding, and then our 4-step process of getting them cut to size, okay? So we ripped them to 2 after we jointed an edge, then ripped them, step number 2, to 2 inches wide, and then we squared an end, and then we used a stop block on our roller system to cut them to finished length so we knew that they were the same. All right, so now at our dimensions here, we've got 4 inches for our drawer. Okay, so I've got our mark, and the bottom rail comes up 2.5 inches. Okay, our foot is 3.5, so it'll overlap 1 inch, which gives us a good glue line for our front foot to really strengthen that area. You might notice that I've got our Kreg Screw holes laid out. We only drill on the 3 rails. We don't drill the stiles. Okay, I've had a lot of students in the past ruin their stiles by putting it into the Kreg Forman machine, and not good. So I recommend that we mark them. Okay, I'm putting a B for back on each part, and I'm marking 2 marks for the holes that we're going to drill. So I know that that's the side. We're doing it on the back side, not the front side. Okay, so let's take these parts over. These are the ones that are getting the holes drilled in them, and then we will assemble them over here on our table. Okay, so here we go. On the I've got this already set up for us. Our boards are 3/4, so the fence needs to come back. The back of the fence is locked down at the 3/4 line. Okay, and then our drill bit had to be set up, and they've got a jig for that that helps you set the depth. And typically it's just, you know, like a 1/16 before that bit touches the fence. That bit helps you lock it down, and this is where we do that. So I've got that locked down, and it shouldn't move. All right, the next thing is, where do we position our part? And I've did a test piece, and what we want to do is we want to line our edge up to the outside edge of the thick line. Okay, and there's one on the other side, and that will work for all of our parts. The other thing we want to do is make sure, see all of these lines? It helps you stay straight. We wouldn't want to have it like that and drill our hole, right? We want to be parallel with the line. So I'm going to get on my mark here. Okay, it's lined up with my mark, and now I'm look pretty straight with our line there as well. Okay, and we should be ready. I've got our depth set up to where this grabs and holds for us. So you want to turn it on and get it to full speed before you come down. You can break the end of that bit off fairly easily if you don't do that. So here we go. I just messed up. I'm gonna have to make that my front. I'm gonna have to make that side my back. First time for everything, messing up my first part. Which is not, it's not a tragedy because both sides were good on this piece. I don't have a defect that I have to worry about. But, yeah, getting myself schooled here. All right, that looks pretty straight, doesn't it? Maybe over a little bit. Near as I can tell, we're lined up with our mark almost. Let's get over there a little bit more. Looks flush to the fence. Yeah. Little rusty, guys. I haven't done this project for several years. Been about, oh, it's been at least 3. So, little disclaimer. Okay, fairly lined up. Let's call that good. I've had students ruin their part too by flipping the ends. We want all the holes on the same side. Okay, last one, lining up to my mark, and then looking at the table and the lines on the table, getting it parallel best I can. Okay, so yeah, if you don't have it turned on before you bring that out, now it won't even, it's locked out for me. What in the world? Okay, see the bit? If you have that bit stopped and it's touching, when you start it up, it can break the end off. The end of that bit is fairly fragile. Okay, so you want to have it full speed when it touches. So there's my first part. Okay, let's do these other ones right by having it down. The best face is the front face, so worst face should go down. That's the one that gets the screws. Okay, so let's do that again. We're lining up. That sun is a little bright in my face today. Okay, near as I can tell, that's pretty straight. Line up with the blue mark and then the line on the table. Okay, that's pretty straight. Other end, same thing. That looks parallel. Hole number 2, lined up and parallel. All right, there's piece number 2, one more. Bottom side, which we've got marked down. All right, lined up with our mark, lined up with the table, good to go. Nice and slow. Don't need to put any undue pressure on the end of that bit. Lined up and parallel. Okay, 2 more holes, lined up, parallel. Last one, lined up and parallel. All right. Guys, we do have, when I have class, and a lot of students are using this, we can hook this up to our shop vac over there, and it can get rid of all the chips that are collecting inside right now. Okay, here we go. We have got the bottom piece right right there. We've got our top, and then we'll have one right here as well. So let's assemble this thing. I've got my 1 1/4" screws. I've got my bit here. You may have noticed my piece of wood here clamped to the table. I just needed something to push against, okay, so we can get our joints as tight as possible. So I've got my stops here all lined up to help me keep things straight and square. Then my clamp, I'm going to clamp it down out of the way of my drilling process here. So this one I'm going to use to clamp the piece in place so it's still at a 90 and it can't move. Let's put our screw in. And I'm at a 9. That should work. Okay. Next one. Yeah, I got my torque set at 9. Don't want to strip them. Pushing up tight.